A toddler wandered into the street and met a massive German shepherd. Instead of crying or running, the little one leaned forward and kissed the dog. What happened next shocked everyone watching. Was this a moment of pure innocence, or the start of something far more dangerous and unexpected? Parents chatted on porches, cars rolled slowly past, and the sound of children's laughter carried through the warm breeze. Among them was a toddler, barely steady on his little legs, chasing after a toy that had slipped from his hands. His parents, only a few feet away, were caught in conversation, unaware that their son had wandered farther than usual. The toddler giggled as he waddled down the sidewalk, his tiny shoes tapping against the pavement. Then, with innocent curiosity, he slipped through the open gate and into the street. That's when he saw it. Sitting calmly at the edge of the road was a large German shepherd. Its powerful frame and sharp eyes contrasted against the child's fragile figure. Neighbors froze, their voices dropping into uneasy whispers. The toddler paused only for a heartbeat, then, without fear, began toddling straight toward the dog. No one moved fast enough to stop him. Every heartbeat seemed louder than the last as the little boy stood face to face with the animal. The peaceful day had suddenly turned into a moment of suspense no one could ignore. The toddler's small steps echoed louder than the anxious whispers around him. He reached the towering German shepherd, his head barely reaching the dog's chest. For a fleeting second, time seemed to stop. Parents gasped, hands flying to their mouths, expecting the worst. But the little boy didn't hesitate. With innocent curiosity, he leaned forward, pressing his tiny lips against the dog's nose. The crowd gasped collectively, some turning away, unable to watch what might follow. It wasn't a cautious touch. It was a kiss, pure and unafraid, the kind only a child could give. The shepherd blinked, his muscles tensed, a low growl rumbling faintly in his chest. But then, it vanished. Instead, his ears softened, his mouth opened slightly, and he let out a slow, calm breath. The boy giggled, patting the dog's face with tiny hands, as if they'd known each other forever. In one expected gentleness. Yet there it was, a massive dog sitting silently, accepting the toddler's kiss as though it were a sacred gift. The street, once filled with chatter, now stood in stunned silence. Gasps rippled through the street, sharp and panicked. Someone shouted, "Get the child," while another cried out, "That dog's dangerous." Fear spread quickly, each voice rising above the other as parents clutched their own children close. The boy's mother stumbled forward, her face pale, heart pounding so hard she could hardly breathe. "If you scare the dog," her words trailed off into the tense silence that followed. Every eye stayed fixed on the strange pair, tiny child and towering German shepherd locked together in an unexplainable moment. Some whispered in awe, "Look at that. He's not hurting him." Others shook their heads in disbelief. "It's only a matter of time. Pull him away before it's too late." The mix of fear, fascination, and disbelief filled the air like electricity, and through it all, the boy kept giggling, resting his small hands on the shepherd's face as though he had just made a new friend. For everyone watching, the question burned the same. What would the dog do next? The German shepherd's ears twitched, his massive head tilting as the toddler's tiny fingers brushed against his fur. For a heartbeat, the tension in the air was unbearable. Every muscle in the crowd braced for a sudden snap, a bark, a flash of teeth. But none of that came. Instead, the dog lowered himself slowly onto his haunches, bringing his eyes level with the child. The toddler squealed with delight, pressing his cheek against the shepherd's muzzle as though embracing an old friend. Parents stood frozen, torn between terror and awe. The boy's father whispered hoarsely, "Why isn't he moving? Why isn't he attacking?" But the answer was in the shepherd's eyes, steady, watchful, protective. He was guarding something precious. The moment stretched endlessly. Then, softly, the dog's tongue flicked out, brushing the toddler's cheek in a gentle lick. Gasps echoed through the street. The giant had chosen not to harm, but to accept. "Wait," he whispered, voice trembling. "That's not just any stray. I know that dog." His words cut through the crowd like a spark. Curious faces turned toward him, demanding an explanation. "That's Max. He belonged to Officer Carter, the policeman who died protecting this neighborhood years ago. When Carter was gone, the dog disappeared. People said he ran off, heartbroken, never to return." Murmurs erupted, some skeptical, others astonished. Could this truly be the same loyal animal from the past? The shepherd glanced around as though hearing his old name, his posture proud yet gentle. It was as if he knew the toddler carried no fear, only the same innocence his first master had once defended. The memory of a bond unbroken stirred in his eyes. Suddenly, the moment shifted. This wasn't just a random meeting. The child's kiss had awakened something long buried in the dog's heart. This stray, everyone feared, was, in truth, a guardian who had been watching silently all along. Waiting for the day he was needed again, the boy's mother rushed forward, her heart pounding like a drum, but stopped short when she saw the shepherd sitting calmly beside her son. Her instincts screamed to snatch him away, yet her trembling hands refused to move. Every parent in the crowd held their breath, waiting for her choice. The father stepped closer, torn between fear and gratitude. "He seems gentle," he murmured, though his voice cracked with doubt. "But he's still a dog, a powerful one." His words were met with nervous nods. For years, people had taught themselves to fear strays, to expect danger first. Yet here, in front of them, was an image so disarming it unsettled everyone. The protector and the innocent sitting as one, that the mother's eyes welled with tears. "What if he snaps?" she whispered. "What if this is just luck?" But when the toddler laughed, tugging playfully at the shepherd's ear, the dog didn't flinch. Instead, he leaned closer, shielding the child with his body. In that moment, fear battled trust, reason clashed with emotion. Should they pull the toddler away and break this fragile miracle, or allow it to bloom into something no one had ever expected? The answer would define everything that came next. Just as the parents debated, Rex, the old shepherd, suddenly stiffened. His ears pricked, body rigid, a low growl rumbling in his chest. The playful scene turned tense in an instant. The toddler froze, sensing the change, his small hand still resting against the dog's fur. The crowd gasped, fearing this was the moment the animal would finally turn. But Rex wasn't looking at the child. He was staring down the street. A dark figure moved between the cars, slow, deliberate, watching the family with unsettling intent. The dog's growl deepened. Without warning, he stepped forward, placing himself firmly between the toddler and the approaching stranger. The boy's father followed his gaze and felt his blood run cold. The man in the shadows wasn't a neighbor. He was a thief known in the area, caught lurking before. The shepherd barked, sharp and commanding, shattering the uneasy quiet. Suddenly, fear gave way to understanding. The kiss had not awakened danger. It had revealed a guardian prepared to defend. The crowd scattered as neighbors shouted for help, but Rex didn't move. He stood firm, hackles raised, his thunderous barks echoing through the street. The thief, startled by the shepherd's ferocity, stumbled back before fleeing into the night. Cheers erupted, relief flooding every face. The toddler clapped his tiny hands, laughing as though the drama had been a game. His mother scooped him into her arms, tears streaming, while the father crouched to meet the dog's steady gaze. "You saved him," he whispered, voice shaking. "You saved all of us." Rex's tail wagged once, slow and certain. In that moment, the fear that had divided the family melted away. This wasn't just a stray. It was a guardian sent when they needed him most. Later, as the boy drifted to sleep, he mumbled a single word that silenced every doubt. "Friend." And that's exactly what the dog had become.